uh, obviously battling through what we went through this season with injuries, and it wasn't fair to anybody for what we went through, and just being better the next time you step on the court and just addressing things you could have done better to bring, in the following year.
Dana, how would you summarize this year?
A roller coaster, just like for
the team and yourself, if you care to.
I mean, both, honestly. For me personally, it was a roller coaster ride. I mean, I went from starting to playing to not getting in the game. So it's hard, right? And it's just like, you just got to be better, I guess. Come back 10 times better and even harder and ready to compete again next year. And for the team, I feel like we went through so much. I mean, injury after injury, people getting sick. That's no excuse, but it was hard. It was a rough season just all around, just with the health and everything like that. It was a lot of stuff that we couldn't even focus on basketball. Like we were having to take care of stuff outside of basketball, which is a big distraction. This league is way too good. If you're not focusing on the main thing, you're not going to win many games in this league.
This is your first time being part of the Sky, not making the postseason. I'm curious, like, what the lesson you're now seeing is in that, and maybe it's too early to say what that is, but
as far as
the takeaway, I mean, you were part of teams again that made the postseason. You're maybe not playing as much, but you're still in it. You're still gaining experience and those lessons there. Now you're not. I'm curious what the takeaway for you is now.
I mean, I feel like the takeaway is to just be better. I feel like all around. I don't know truly. I don't. It was a lot this year, so I don't really know what the takeaway was. Truly, being honest.
What was the outside of basketball stuff you referenced that you or the team?
I would just say a lot of noise. I feel like now we're more prepared. I feel like overall for the WNBA, like we had more eyes, we had more attention, we had a lot of stuff going on that we weren't all used to, right? So it was new for everybody, not just us, but I was just speaking obviously for us, that it was just a lot of outside noise, where now I feel like we're used to that. We know how to handle that. We don't want to cause anything to distract us. We don't need any distractions on top of just not causing stuff in the locker room. I feel like sometimes you can read tweets and you can read stuff, and that can affect people in the locker room. And just keeping that out, just making sure we stay together as a whole, and we know we got each other's back, and just staying together, I feel like was a lesson for this whole league this year.
Agreed.
Both of you can speak to this. That's an interesting thing, and I don't think it's something I've quite heard a player articulate so far this year. With all the new attention, maybe that's not the right way to put it, but
no, I get what you're saying.
How did you guys experience that? What was the sort of content of it? Like, what was the feeling like? What were you reading, seeing, hearing?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. It was tough. I mean, Izzy, I know you can attest to that too. Yeah. It was really tough. I mean, we're professionals. We know that we can play this game. I mean, but when you got people that's steady bashing you, that's supposed to be our supporters, I feel like that was a little slap in the face, and that was hard to kind of deal with. But
it was disgusting.
It was really disgusting. But I always say God does not make mistakes, and I feel like this season really challenged my mental to another level, and I feel like I'm going to be so much better next season, just mentally prepared for everything. And I know, Izzy, you kind of feel that way too.
I've never experienced this amount of hate and harassment this entire season. I get emotional about it because I know Dana went through the same, but it's hard because it should have never been like that. And to go and just want to play basketball every day, and you have people constantly, and if it's online, it's online, but like you now get tagged in it, and I'm constantly having to block people, and just people making narratives up about you. It's hurtful.
It is.
And it's hard to just focus on basketball. And I appreciate the new eyes, but if it comes with hate and bigotry and racism, and even people that look like me bashing you, you can keep it offline, because it's so hurtful, and you don't know how that affects people. So I think that's just something that a lot of new fans need to be mindful of, and we don't want that to carry into the locker room. And
exactly. And to piggyback on that is, I'm gonna say, especially for the people that support the Sky, if you're gonna support the Sky, support the Sky. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was a big issue, and it messes with your mental. I don't care how good you are or what's going on. You're gonna see stuff. You're gonna read stuff, but it made you a lot better. It made us a lot stronger up here, and we'll be better next year.
You learn from it, you grow from it, you just stay away from it, because it's like, I'm not going to attach that to my name, but there was just so many times that was just a factor and it shouldn't have been, and it's just disappointing that was the case.
What do you put that down to? Where is it coming from? Where is it originating, and why?
The internet is
the internet, and honestly, like she was saying, a lot of our fans were doing that, and it's hard because you just try to stay away from it. And Spoon attested to it so much. Just get off of it. And even when you're off it still happens. So there's times I wouldn't even look at my social media, and that's just such a crazy place to be, because I get so much support from it as well. But when there's so much negativity, you have a job to do, obviously you stay off of it. And it's just like people just run and go with narratives, and it's just so detrimental to a team's success. You just have to block it out. And like we said, continue to do a job, but it's hard when it's like every single day.
A lot of people say like, oh, this is the cost of reaching the same level as like the NBA, let's say, as your counterparts. But I think what doesn't get factored in is the level of harassment like women receive is very different than men.
Especially Black women.
Absolutely.
Especially Black women.
Yeah, if you guys can speak to that difference.
It's just never allowed. I don't care what we're doing. And we had an incident with Kathy, and she had to address like the racial tones that was coming this season. I don't care what we do. It's never okay to spew hate and bigotry and just hate towards players, no matter if it's social media or in person, because it's just detrimental, and it's hard for people's mental health, and it's just a lot to control.
Yeah, it took a toll. I feel like that took a toll on our team. And I feel like we tried our best to not let that shake us, but you're reading stuff and people say you don't pass this, you don't do that. So you're thinking that regardless of if you don't want to, regardless. And I feel like that it didn't help our team. And also that we were a young team that didn't help. But like I said, I feel like this is a lesson, and I feel like this is something that's going to grow. We're going to grow from this. We come out better regardless. Mentally, you're going to be better. You're not going to let those things get to you. But I wish I could say stop doing it, and we don't want it to happen, but they will. But it's just something we learn from. And as a league, like I said, this is the first year where it was like this with everybody. It was a lot of hate, but we'll be better from it. That's all I say.
Any last questions for players? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go and go to questions for Coach.
Spoon, this obviously wraps the season, but also your first season in the WNBA as a coach. What's your biggest takeaway?
It's tough to see my players like that. It's hurtful to see them speak about things that they've had to go through outside of the game of basketball, how it took a toll on their mental. These are the things that I knew. And I think a lot of times people don't recognize what these players go through just to play the game, how hard it is to come in every day, practice hard every day, go and play in front of thousands and thousands of people, and then reading those things that they had to read about themselves, and me too. It doesn't bother me. So I'm trying to be as helpful as I could to them in those areas of life. Because it could take a toll on young people. But what I love about this group and I said it to them, is they had a no give up spirit. They would never give up. They always gave everything they had. Every ounce of energy they had, they gave. They left everything out there. And if you can leave everything out there, you can walk away knowing that I left everything. All my juice is out there. All my energy was out there. All my effort was out there. You can live with that. And as a coach, to watch them play as hard as they did, you know, there's no excuses. We don't make excuses because we didn't have our full team. We knew we still had to play. And it was hard. It was difficult to sustain the energy down the stretch. But what they did to represent that uniform the way that they're supposed to, representation of themselves and who they are, and then representing that uniform, I couldn't ask for anything more.
When you think about those, what you guys had to overcome, the injuries, I guess, how different do you really think this team would have been? You know, even going back to like Elizabeth's injury, how much of a difference do you really think that all would have made? Because this team was still very young, still very inexperienced. So I'm just curious what you genuinely think.
Yeah, but when you talk about going all the way back and having Will with us, along with Cardoza, along with Angel, along with Kennedy and Diamond, and they all being healthy, you're talking about a team with an incredible production from your bench as well. You have an incredible bench production as well. But you're talking about losing all of that and what all of that brings to our team. You lost a lot. We lost a lot with all of them being out. And without a doubt in my mind, we would have definitely been in the playoffs, not fighting for an 8th seed. We wouldn't have been fighting for an 8th seed. We would have definitely been up in numbers with the group that we had. Unfortunately, in this game, you know, injuries happen. And just unfortunately happened to us down the stretch of in a stretch that was so crucial.
DJ Harden, Chicago State of Mind. Lindsay Allen has been an underrated player for you this season. So I just want to ask, like, what do you like most about her game this season?
I've said this 1,000 times. She's a great leader. She came out and she led our troops. She knows how to steer the ship. You know, she took on a lot of scoring for us as well. When with people being out, she decided she's going to inject herself, but yet making sure that she did her job first as a point guard, and that's to facilitate. And she injected herself. She did a heck of a job of doing that. But then she's a pest defensively. You know, so many things that you do as a point guard, everything is initiated through you, whether that's the beginning of the offense or the beginning of the defense. And she did a heck of a job all season long for us.
And follow up, we talked about the injuries, and it's been a long season. You guys have had hard. So I just want to ask, like, what was your message to the team heading into the offseason?
I think I'll leave that in the locker room.
Coach, obviously injuries are out of your control and you take the team out there that you have. There seemed to be a critical window after the Olympic break where the team goes, I think, 1 for 9 in that start. And I'm curious, from your point of view, what had changed? What were teams doing to you? What were you sort of like failing to execute in that particular?
That's just it. We just didn't execute. We weren't the healthiest team coming back in the second half. Had a few players that were not very well at all out there playing, giving everything that they had. But we made no excuses. They made no excuses. They stepped on the floor and they tried to play anyway, tried to give everything that they had. And unfortunately, this is what has happened down the stretch. You know, it's an unfortunate thing because this is what I do know is if we were a healthy basketball team, that we will definitely be a playoff team, without a doubt in my mind.
We'll go back to Amy.
Please.
What do you think is, I know the season just ended, there's not been a ton of time for reflection, but just immediately when thinking about next season, what do you see as being the biggest need that needs to be addressed this offseason?
Well, I just want to take my time with that before even answering that, because you know, the way you feel after losing and knowing that you're out for the season, you want to make sure that everything you say is the correct thing to say and say it in the right way. So I'll take my time with thinking about that along with our general manager and the organization, and we'll just go from there. I just don't want to make sure that I say the right things. There's a lot of thoughts going through my mind because I worry about our young players and what they're thinking and how they're feeling. But a piece of the message in the locker room was that I love them. I love them. I love everything about them and what they bring on a daily basis to help me to grow. and to give them an idea of where your growth truly comes from. Your growth doesn't always come from the good. It doesn't always come from the wins. Your growth comes from being uncomfortable. Your discomfort, you'll find a lot of growth there. And I know I have. I know I've found a lot of growth with myself as a coach. And I know that they have too. So we'll continue to grow and take the feeling that we have right now, and not want to feel it again.
We'll go back to Coach Jim.
Coach, you said you're worried about what your young players are thinking and feeling. What are you worried that they're thinking?
No, I'm always worried about them. My priority, every one of them. I'm not just an X and O person. I'm not just about that. No, it's not just what it is. There's a line that they know that cannot be crossed, but it's not about the X's and O's. There's relationships here. You know, you're always thinking about how they feel, what they think, how they feel about themselves. You have my players sitting here right before you with tears rolling down her face. Do you think I'm not worried about how she's feeling? Absolutely. You know, I'm last. I can take care of me, but I want to make sure I take care of them. That's I prioritize that. They're my priority. So I'm gonna worry about how they feel, what they think, how they think of themselves, what I think of them, and how I think of them. Yes, I'm gonna make sure they know. And the first thing I said to them, I love you. It's the bottom line, is I love them. We'll figure it all out. No doubt in my mind. Come back bigger, stronger.
Last few, we'll go to Carly Bell on Zoom.
Hey, Coach, just a question about the game. Isabelle Harrison finished with a double-double, and I know a couple weeks ago you called her a walking double-double, and her goal this year was to just heal. To kind of see her end this season in a statistical high note with a double-double and just have this growth that you've seen this season, what does that mean for you to just see her kind of come back from this injury and end on a high note?
Well, to come back from that type of injury, you know, there's a level of confidence that you have to gain too, just about getting back on the floor. And a lot of times what most people say and believe is when you come back from an injury in your first year back on the floor is normally you're kind of testing yourself, getting your feet back underneath, your legs underneath you. But Izzy kind of grew a little bit faster, went to another level pretty fast with her healing and being able to step out on the floor and play with that confidence that we wanted her to play with. And yes, I've always told her that she's a walking double-double. It's all about you. It's all about what you want from it and how you can do it consistently. So to see her do it down the stretch was good to see.
Thank you.
For one
Thank
more
you.
person.
Coach, I know it's hard to project into the future at the moment, and it's really difficult because things just haven't for you to kind of reflect. But I'm sort of trying to get a picture in my mind for what you are thinking and feeling, just like in this moment right now, like not tomorrow in the off season, not the months that have gone by, but like what is like sitting on your heart and in your mind?
I hate losing. Hate it. That's what's on my mind. Hate knowing that I'm not going back into the gym with these young ladies in the morning. Hate it. I love this game so much that losing irritates the crap out of me, but it motivates me. And it's going to motivate this team.
Thanks so much.